Hello again and welcome to another Mordy and Glory Warhammer 40k video. In today's episode we shall be casting our ever critical eye over another 10th edition datasheet. And once again we shall be delving into the shadowy world of allies with what very well may be the most popular assassin in all of Warhammer 40k. Over edition after edition, Warhammer players have loved to include this guy in their armies, and he looks like an absolute badass with a long-range deadly sniper rifle combined with multiple types of ammunition. I am of course talking about the Vindicare assassin. And so without further ado, let's take aim, load a shield breaker, and dead shot right into today's episode. As is tradition, let us begin with a brief overview of what the hell this unit actually is. Vindicares are the principal marksmen of the Imperium, and there are none who can match them for their skill and accuracy with long-range weapons, often spending days creeping into the perfect firing spot. The first that the enemy is aware of a Vindicare is when their commander's heads start popping.
Attention guardsmen, the Commissariat has detected you have not yet liked this video. Do so immediately or else you will face the Emperor's wrath. And anyone who has not yet subscribed to the channel will be transferred to the penal battalions. That is all. Move out!
Well, at least that's how it is in the fluff. But what about the crunch? How do the Vindicares stack up on our 10th edition tabletop? Well, to find out, we must first start with a look at his stat line. And the Vindicare comes with a movement of 7 inches. Now, that is actually a little bit more than you'll find on most of your basic foot sloggers. And it might only seem like 1 inch more than a 6-inch move on a guardsman or marine. But let me tell you, every inch matters. And that does also count for Warhammer 40k as well. That extra inch of movement might allow you to just go a little bit further, might allow you to get into the right spot, onto the objective, over the line, into engaging all front. However, poorly disguised innuendos to one side for a moment, the movement value on the Vindicare is slightly less important than it is on other assassins, and that's simply because he is a more ranged variant, and he's got a long range as well. So more than likely you're going to find a spot for him, you're probably going to deploy him into that spot, and then he's just going to stay there, plinking off rounds and being a bit of a general nuisance and doing his job. In addition to his movement, the Vindicare has a toughness of 4, a 4+ invulnerable save and a 6+ armor save, and 4 wounds. So it sort of falls across the board. Now this is a decent defensive stat line, but it's not going to allow him to tank a huge amount of damage. 4+ invulnerable saves tend to be very, very swingy. I rarely find in a game that they feel like a 50-50. They often feel like you pass them all or you don't pass all of them. But that level of swinginess can make them quite unreliable. So I would say that the best way for Vindicare to stay alive is to not be shot at. Finally, he's got a leadership of 6+, which will make him somewhat insulated against impromptu battle shock tests, and he has an OC of 1, which will allow him to actually hold objectives. In addition to his stat line, the Vindicare of course comes equipped with some pretty badass weapons and war gear. Each model is equipped with an Exodus pistol and an Exodus rifle and a Vindicare combat knife. So we've actually got 2 range weapons and a melee weapon. Now the main firearm of the assassin is going to be the Exodus rifle. That's the one you're going to be using turn in, turn out for the majority of your situations. And it's a pretty bloody good sniper. It's got a 48-inch range, whereas most snipers have only got a 36, so this has got the longest range sniper that, well, I'm aware of in 40k. It only fires 1 shot, however it does hit on a ballistic skill of 2+. Its strength 7, AP -3, and a incredible D3+3 damage, giving it an average of 5 damage per shot. Combine this with its devastating wounds ability, which means that if it gets a 6 to wound, so not reliable, but it'll pop off every so often, maybe once a game it'll come up, the enemy will get no saves against it whatsoever unless they have a feel no pain. It's also heavy, so if it stays still you get +1 to hit, but bear in mind hitting on 2+ anyway, that shouldn't be a big deal, just in case someone's got some sort of -1 to hit stratagem or ability. And then it's precision, so it can pick out enemy characters from units. A couple of things to mention about precision though, it has a few limitations. Firstly, you cannot use precision to pick any casualties in the unit. It's very specific, you either get to target the bodyguard or the character, so you can't use the Exus rifle to pick out a melter gun, sergeant or anything like that. No, the controlling player of that unit will still get to pick who dies, even if it's a precision weapon, if you're targeting the bodyguard. The other limitation is you still need to draw line of sight. So in a competitive world where there's a lot of ruins, you tend to find that if someone has a Vindicare, what you can do to sort of counter that precision is have your character behind the wall and then have the unit go through the wall. The Vindicare can shoot into the unit, but because he can't see the characters out of line of sight, he can't use his precision. In a similar vein, we've got Ignores Cover on this weapon. I feel like that looks better on paper than in reality. On paper, you feel like you're going to be, cutting everyone down, and even if they're in cover, they won't get any kind of save. The reality is, if you're shooting someone who is in cover, if it's like a guardsman or a medium character equivalent, you're probably going to be killing them anyway on AP -3. They have a 5-up save, in cover they have a 4-up, your AP -3 still means that you're going to go straight through. What you tend to find is if you shoot characters that are tougher than that, like, oh yeah, I'm going to shoot someone who's in like power armor, or someone who's going to be in Terminator armor. Well, the reality is there that most of those kind of characters have an invulnerable save, and most of the time that's a 4+ invulnerable save. The sort of Terminators. Shoot a Terminator captain, you're going to have a 2+ save followed by a 4+ invuln. So even if you hit him with AP -3 Ignores Cover, you're not actually kicking him down to a 5-up save, you're just kicking him to his 4-up. So the Ignores Cover, it does come up, and there will be the occasional character that you come across where you're like, oh, it's perfect, they've got a high save but no invulnerable. Most of the time I find it doesn't really pan out with the Exus rifle. So in short, the Exus rifle has a fantastic stat line, but out of all of the laundry list of abilities his weapon has, the only one that is really potent is that devastating wound. But let us move on to the Exitus pistol. This has a 12-inch range, so it's very much for close encounters, but it fires 3 shots at ballistic skill 2+, strength 5, AP -3, and a flat 3 damage. What's really standing out to me about these Vindicare weapons is how much damage they have got. Flat 3 damage is the same as an autocannon. It's the same as a battle cannon. It really is a very tasty damage value. In fact, flat 3 damage is what I aim for when I'm looking at a lot of weapon systems. I want things that, I'm not a big fan of things that like do D6 plus something. It's like if it's flat 3, that's what I want because it's reliable, it's consistent. And so I actually really like the Exus pistol because it's got the volume and it's got the strength and it's got the AP and it's got the damage to be a genuine threat against a lot of characters. And then you combine this with the fact that it does devastating wounds and it ignores cover, where in this case it's actually useful because you're only AP2. Pistol means you can use it in combat and precision. Again, all the benefits and disadvantages of precision as before with the rifle. This might sound kind of crazy, but I actually prefer, I'm not saying that you're going to use it more often, but I'm saying I actually prefer the stat line of the Exitus pistol over the Exitus rifle. And the big reason for this is the volume. I cannot tell you the number of games. In fact, you know what? I'm lying. I can tell you. Every single game I have seen someone use a Vindicare Assassin, the Exus rifle has done nothing. Because my opponent just like rolls the dice and they just roll a 1. And I don't know what it is. Maybe I've just created some sort of Gestalt anti-Vindicare assassin field. But they'll then pick up that dice, re-roll it, and they'll roll another 1. That happens nearly not every single time they fire, but pretty much every single game I've ever seen a Vindicare use, it rolls the dreaded dice roll of 1. And when you actually look at it, it's all well and good having these multiple layers of these multiple stats, I should say, that are really powerful, but there are layers of defenses and layers of pitfalls that one shot can fall into. You might roll a 1 to hit, you might roll a 1 to wound, your opponent might have a 4% vulnerable save, they might have feel no pain on top of all of that. And so I feel like the X's rifle, whilst it has one incredible shot, it will be lucky if it gets that shot to do something meaningful over the course of a game. Whereas the Exeter's pistol, because it's got 3 shots, will be able to get quite a good chance of doing not only damage to a unit, but also taking a character out. Because you've got 3 chances to get that 3 damage through. And if you're shooting a lot of mid-level characters, which have only got 3 wounds, that is all you need. You don't need the D plus 3. Sometimes you just need that 3 to go through to kill the enemy leader. In an ideal world, this doesn't exist, but in an ideal world, we would have an Exeter's carbine. It would have 24-inch range and would have like the stats, the Exeter's pistol, somewhere halfway between the two, right? Sadly, we don't have that. And so my issue with the Vindicare's weapons is that, and my main issue with the model, it's very, very cool, but it's why I feel like it rarely does much on the battlefield, is you either have the 1 shot at range, which falls into a pit trap, or you have 3 shots at close range, at which point the Vindicare is probably about 1 enemy turn away from getting absolute filled in. Oh, and for the sake of completeness, we should mention that the Vindicare does have the Vindicare Combat Knife, which is 4 attacks at weapon skill 2 plus strength for 8 -1 damage. It's okay, it's good to be aware of, but a bit like with the X's pistol, if you're in combat with your Vindicare, if the enemy's got that close to you, things are probably going very squiffy or in a very neat situation where this is a good idea. Now that covers the weapons of the Vindicare, but what about its abilities? Well, as a core ability, it has Infiltrators, Lone Operative, and Stealth. Infiltrators will allow you to deploy this guy in the midboard in no man's land, get him into a really good firing position. As long as you're 9 inches away from any enemy units or the enemy deployment zone, you can kind of put him wherever you want on the battlefield. And because he's got Lone Operative, this isn't completely suicidal. If you chuck him forward right on the front lines, yeah, he's going to die. But if you get him off onto a corner, get him on top of a sort of 3-story UKTC style ruin, that kind of thing, then he might actually have some pretty good fire angles and he'll be safe up there. Your opponent's going to struggle to get within of him. The other 2 abilities that the Vindicare has are his unique ones. He's got Deadshot. Each time this model makes a range attack, if a critical hit is scored, add 3 to damage characteristic of that attack. As the mod has resolved its range attack, select one enemy unit that was hit by one or more of those attacks. That unit must take a battle shock test. Now the battle shock test is, by the by, it's whatever. I tend to find that battle shock's very unimpactful on games of 10th edition. What I'm all about is that critical hit. Adding 3 damage? Sure, the extra rifle's only 1 shot, and sure, if you're lucky, it'll happen once in a game. But you're getting that extra rifle up to D3 plus 6 damage? That's doesn't matter if they're going to feel no pain at that point. You want, as long as you can get past the enemy invulnerable save, if they've got one, that is a dead character every day of the week. That's a dead model every day of the week. That actually makes you a bit of a threat against some vehicles. I'm sure you've got to probably roll a 5 to wound, but still, having such a potent punch is very, very enticing. But then again, we sort of go to the X's pistol, and that fires 3 shots, and so you have 3 times the opportunities. Over the course of the game, the X's pistol could fire 15 shots. Now, that is very unlikely, but it could do it. Maybe we say it fires 12 shots. Maybe turn 1 it's not in range, but after that you are going full on pistol wielding duelist with this guy, and you are blazing away with the X pistol. You've got a chance to statistically you would generate 2 of those dead shots, which is pretty good, getting a damage 6 pistol out there. And finally, we have the Shield Breaker ability. Once per battle, when selecting targets for this model's X's rifle, it can fire a Shield Breaker round. Big sad, you can't put it in the X's pistol. I'd love to load a magazine of those, but sadly, it's just once per battle and it's one shot. If it does, until the end of the phase, each time this model makes an attack with this weapon, no saving throws of any kind can be made against that attack. Now that is spicy, because that gets past one of the big problems of the X's rifle, which is invulnerable saves. Because it's all well and good, as we've said, I've dropped this line loads of times, but it's all well and good shooting enemy character. If they have an invulnerable save and just pass it, well, that's it. And considering this guy at best is going to fire 5 shots in a game, that's like every shot you fail, this guy has a 20% reduction in like his capability. The Shield Breaker is really good because it's like, no, all I need to do now is hit and wound. If I hit and wound, then majority of the time I'm going to be getting that wound through. Even against power armor people, they only have like a 6 up save. Terminator people or equivalent will only have a 5 up save. The odds are in your favor that you're going to get that wound through each time. And then the damage D3+3 can go to work. And even if they have a feel no pain, probably have enough to get the job done. My big problem with Shield Breaker is that it's once per battle. In previous editions, what the Vindicare could do was roll different kinds of ammo. Sometimes you could fire Shield Breaker, sometimes you could fire Turbo Penetrator, and I don't think anyone's ever said that without giggling at the name. And there's just it was really cool that you had these different kinds of ammo, and that meant that if sometimes you need to go against somebody hand up save, you could load a Shield Breaker, and sometimes you needed to go against vehicles, you could load a Turbo Penetrator. The issue is the Shield Breaker is once per game. As a result, it's very limited, and it makes it so nerve-wracking to use, because like you've got to select it when you're selecting your target. So you can't be like, oh, I'm going to get the hit, get to wound, and then activate my Shield Breaker ability. That would be nice. Chance would be a fine thing, you could do that, but you can't. You've got to go, I'm going to load my Shield Breaker, then I'm going to roll a hit, then you're going to roll a 1, and then you're going to cry. Because that's going to happen every time. So if I was to summarize the Vindicare, I think it's a unit that looks good on paper, and a lot of people see the stat line and they see that it's a ranged assassin and they think, oh, well, because it's ranged, it's going to be able to do something every turn. But the reality is that it's actually quite limited. You have got either low rate of fire, which has the chance to just fail, or you've got a high rate of fire, but your guy is going to be in danger. I think a big problem with the Vindicare as well is that it's good at sniping characters when we're really in a meta of vehicles and monsters. I think there are a lot of Vindicare fans out there that wish that the Turbo Penetrator came back, because it is perfect for the meta we find ourselves in. But unfortunately, it just doesn't exist right now. Vindicare assassins, I think, are so popular. That's a big question, right? Why are they so popular if when you actually start using them, they're a bit lackluster and a bit poo? I think they're so popular because it's a sniper rifle. I honestly think this is what it comes down to. If you look at things like video games, it's always people wanting to be the best sniper, the best shot, right? That's what people love. That's what we, as gamers, whether we're video gamers or tabletop gamers, we like the idea of like the big sniper rifle, the perfect shot. I mean, when you watch films like Saving Private Ryan, you know, we all love the scenes with, you know, Jackson the sniper in, you know, it's like counter sniping, or he's in the church tower, that kind of stuff. Snipers are just cool. There's some allure to the idea of the perfect marksman sniper rifle, and that's why I think so many people love the idea. Yeah, they don't actually worry so much about his stats. They enjoy taking him for the most important factor of all, a rule of cool. Well, at least that's what I think. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Are you a fan of the Vindicare Assassin, or you find that he just doesn't quite bring home the gold? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian Glory Hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Marcus Roberts, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.